Yeah, he made sure he did such a good job playing from ahead with that lead. And just for the record, I don't think BaRRa had that rough of a game. Some people out there kind of roasted my man, but I think that, he definitely got a lot of focus in that set, a lot of attention coming his way, and couldn't quite get away.
You know what I bet it was? Seeing Ghost come through to the studios today. He wasn't here yesterday, so he didn't have to worry about that. Then they showed the substitute, and now he's got to fight for his spot.
That's right. He's got to step up. They wouldn't want to pull him out. Has he been sick yet? Maybe that's what he needs to really get going, right? Doesn't BaRRa always play better?
I'm sure we could find some kind of nerd flu going on.
Someone can sneeze in his face or his food or something. I don't know. That's disgusting. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah, let's
go back to rats, right? Yeah. Let's go back to double the rats. We're just about ready to move into game 2. And Taco, I mean, what's your takeaway from this? What can they do to make an adjustment here? Because Black Dragons, I mean, they had the Mercury, they had the Giannis, they had a lot of tools at their disposal. What kind of adjustment do they have to make here in game 2?
Honestly, that was just a very chaotic team fighting scenario for anybody to be in. Anytime you're introducing the double Ratatoskr ultimates, it's so hard to keep track of who's who, because 1 second you're thinking that it's Veneno, the next thing you know, it's not. It's actually just the real Ratatoskr and andinster, so there's no detransformation taking place. You're just getting hit with burst damage after burst damage, and the best part about Spacestation's draft in that first match is the fact that they were able to successfully split up the entirety of Black Dragons. It felt like they couldn't really stay grouped up together like they would have wanted to,
right.
And that's the kind of scenario you need to have in order for this Khepri to get off those Scarab blessings, to keep the team fight going, to really throw Spacestation for a loop, but it just never really managed to occur when you're constantly fretting over just trying to run away.
It's just so much to try and keep track of when there's a Morrigan on the other team, and when they're going to be using that big ultimate, when or what already has been expended, especially when there's 2 sets of cooldowns being used. You're trying to decipher and trying to parse, and how effectively can you communicate that in the heat of the moment as well. So that's what's going to be important for Black Dragons. If another Morrigan comes out, how well can they sort of communicate through all that, to the point where, I mean, can Black Dragons afford to pick it themselves or ban it away even, or do they just have to play around it better next time?
Well, what I am surprised about, in fact, is that Black Dragons actually opted for the second pick side. After losing the first game, they had their choice. Do we want first pick again? And they'd rather see what Spacestation are going to opt for and then try to make their adjustments throughout this match moving forward. And Chernobog, that's an easy one to lock in. All smiles for sure when BaRRaCCuDDa finally gets a chance to play Cherno himself.
They've got a lot of strong bans that came out too. The Thoth, Athena, Giannis, Artemis, but it does mean Zhonghui and Chang'e are all still available for the selection here. Black Dragons want to try and pick those up for themselves, and it is going to be the Ratatoskr. That's also been highly contested, especially within this set, but just kind of this tournament, we've seen this Ratatoskr pick be prioritized. So let's see what they want to pair with it. I would not be surprised if we see something along the lines of those Zhong or Chang'e, though.
I really like this Ratatoskr pickup because of the fact that not only has zGonnZ already showed a little bit of favoritism towards this Ratatoskr,
right,
but it's just the fact that you don't want Andy to have the rat again either, especially not when there's already a little bit of global pressure being applied because of the Chernobog.
Cerberus is going to come out to go along with the Ratatoskr, so they're going to turn their eyes more towards grabbing another Guardian. Spacestation Gaming now have the choice. They want to try and grab another mid laner here. They want to get their own jungler to respond here to Ratatoskr. They've been waiting on Aquarius' pick till the end. They'll be 8-9 this time instead of the 10th pick, so they won't necessarily have like the counter matchup, but they can certainly still wait on Aquarius' pick and grab it there. So we might not see the Chang'e Zhong from them just yet. They've kind of been waiting on his.
I wouldn't be too surprised, though, to see Spacestation opt for an earlier solo lane pick here for Aquarius, just because of the fact that they don't want to have to worry about Black Dragons looking to ban out everything. And we see the Bakasura being hovered. This could just be a little bit of a tease to everybody back at home and us here on the desk, because Baka is a very fun pick, but he can go south incredibly quick.
Yeah, this is much more likely the Jingwei pick. Now, this is interesting. They are going to go with the double hunter strat, and as much as we talked about BaRRa on the Chernobog, I'm not so sold. BaRRaCCuDDa really likes this Jingwei pick, so it might be going over to him. Of course, that was before we knew there were going to be 2 hunters here in this one, but this is a pick he likes a lot.
Spacestation maybe defaulting back to some of those original drafts that we saw coming out in the springtime as far as double hunter is concerned. And if Baskin were to be taking this Chernobog into the mid lane, I think that would follow suit a little bit more with what we have been seeing. Earlier we saw Veneno on that Chernobog mid. I think that Yaman really just brought this one to life for everybody.
definitely recognizing the potency that this pick can have. Those global rotations can be nice to sort of get around the map. The root is really good control. It's a ton of damage as well if he's able to hit you with that initial and then also, you know, explode it on you as well. So it can be a lot coming out from this Chernobog in terms of ability. And he has such a powerful steroid as it is to boost that attack speed. It's just not easy to box up against him. And I imagine he'll have Hunter's Blessing as well to sort of make life a little bit easier for him. He might go the Transcendence Rush. We see that sometimes too, but he'll probably have the correct stuff to make sure he's doing the best he can.
Hunter's in the mid lane is typically the only time that you're ever really going to be seeing that Transcendence Rush on the gods that you wouldn't expect it for.
Sure.
Because you just want the mana sustain. You need to have a little bit of that control in the mid area, otherwise you're not going to be able to keep up as efficiently with mages, just in case the enemy team still decides to keep things a little bit more traditional.
Ram is going to come through as the selection for Black Dragons, getting themselves a bit of a late game Hunter who can clear the wave relatively well, even finish off some kills if they were to try and escape. Maybe to try and follow Jing if she airstrikes away over a wall, Ram can go up and kind of catch that one out, or maybe even slightly match Chernobog if he rotates nearby. He can try and semi-rotate with his own ultimate. I kind of like this Ram pick.
One thing I do really like about Black Dragon's current composition in comparison to Game 1, Game 1, they had a little bit more of that like pick burst type of mentality, especially with the Khepri, so their team fight was more shaky. But now with Space Station, even if Space Station try to be hyper-aggressive again into this current draft from Black Dragons, they're going to maybe encounter some more difficulties with that because Ratatoskr, Cerberus, Ram, there's a lot of turn and burn potential with these gods.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. Ratatoskr with the stun, Ram can go up and drop the snipes. They've got a chance to turn around on you if you're not careful. And Black Dragons recognizing a way that Space Station can turn the game around easily with that Chang'e. So they're going to ban that one out of there. In response, Space Station will ban a sustain mage of their own in the form of the Ra. Going to take that one off the board, along with the Hobwa, surprisingly. Was this one potentially in the cards here, maybe to come out from andinster, Taco?
It could have been a possibility. I wouldn't put it past Andy. I think that most junglers at this level at least tend to have the versatility to be able to pull out those flashier picks like the Hobwa in the jungle. And when you're running the double Hunter, magical damage can be a bit of a concern because you need to make sure that your hunters are going to be able to compensate for that lack of magical burst.
No, I think you're exactly right on that one. So then this is a really good call out here from Black Dragons, just to make sure that if they are going to go double Hunter, they don't have to worry about a huge source of magical damage. I mean, what's the next best option there if they want to go maybe an Kuang? We don't see that very often anymore, so this could potentially be good to try and make it a little bit harder for Space Station to vary up their magical damage, but they go for a magical soul laner, they might not have that fear as Raijin ends up coming out for Black Dragons. This is some nice follow-up, whether it's off Ratatoskr or the Cerberus. This Raijin, I mean, it's going to be able to bring the heat.
A lot of alliteration picks here from Black Dragon. Ram, Raijin, Ratatoskr.
That's fun. Yeah.
Almost wondering what's coming up next, but for Space Station, we were just talking about that lack of magical damage, and now with the AO, this is something that we have not had a chance to see a lot of, much less from andinster.
Well, I was just saying here, right, that with the Hobwa band, I mean, what, you're going to go without Kuang? Maybe not, and then there it is. They indeed feel comfortable getting that big burst magical damage out of the jungle role. And this could be really strong. Kuang is about as feast or famine as you get. And I mean, when he's feasting, it's a feast. He is really going to be able to get far ahead if he can get off to a good start. Could even potentially punish this Hercules by getting him into the execute threshold. Same for the Cerberus. Can kind of make these tankier targets a little bit less tanky by being able to kill them sooner.
Things will be a little bit more tricky on that execute, however, for the AO, simply because of the fact that all of Black Dragons have those CC immune ultimates, so they won't necessarily be able to they won't necessarily have to worry about getting freeze framed. They might be able to get off a quick little burst of heal. Maybe can see a couple of meditations coming forth from Black Dragons to help try and prevent andinster from getting off to a great start.
Well, who at home do you think is going to be able to win this game? Go ahead and vote for us now in that mixer poll so we can get your thoughts. But this Space Station draft is a bit scary, isn't it? Chernobog has the Living Nightmare. I mean, Jing, even Rapid Reincarnation can close distance very quickly. When Kuang goes up for the execute, he can sort of re-engage. Their ability to sort of reposition or rotate very quickly is kind of scary from the Space Station draft. Will Black Dragons be able to match that with this Ratatoskr or with the ultimate from Ram to sort of keep up with that mobility?
This is an all-in situation here for both sides. I would argue even because Spacestation, you're banking everything into the AO, the Jingwei, and the Chernobog. All the Terra and Chulainn are there for is a steady burst of damage. Chulainn, he's probably one of the most aggressive solo laners that you could probably look at here.
Sure,
and
yeah.
that's why I think we're seeing Kliz try and offer the Hercules to just make sure that they clash head to head and not really trying to give an edge to either side.
Just trying to find something that he could potentially fight back in with, but we're about to see exactly how that solo lane matchup, really how all the matchups are going to go as we move into Game 2 here between Black Dragon and Space Station. Casters, take it away.
Thank you so much, Finch and Taco, I should say. Tolly! Joining him in the broadcast, not aggro, even though he's in the corner there. Yeah, speak so they know it's you.
I have no comment.
No comment?
No comment.
What's with the Vlad the Impaler look today, by the way, Tommy?
You know, living up to expectations of...
It's coming back, is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody's got it.
Well, start of the game, Jeff going to show off his might at slowing down the wave. Now, this is something you don't see too often with Terra, but it still happens now and again. Body blocking the minions means that they're going to give up lane pressure purposefully to maybe, you know, look to invade the jungle. And BaRRaCCuDDa and Aquarius, that's what they're on the rampage for. I have a feeling it's either an invade for the buffs or a gank in the lane. Nice work, Jeff.
I thought for a second that they were going to wrap around to look for the speed buff invade, but just a little bit too late. Now, those walls from JeffHindla, that lasts for about 5 seconds. So 2 of those right away, 10 seconds of farming time stripped away. But look what he's doing, still granting himself the own speed buff, though.
Good body block, Kliz. He's announcing his Hercules, the driving strike will hit, and Andy will beads it and be forced onto the right-hand side. So both the solo laners up to no good at the start of this game.
Hurting andinster quite heavily, considering that he has to use many health potions before he probably wanted to. And as a result, without the beads, zGonnZ can look for this invade on the back camps.
Well, I don't know if he's going to go for that. He's going to notice the blues down and instead transition towards this mid lane, where Baskin will be playing the Chernobog. We've seen a little bit more Chernobog in the mid lane this tournament, as more teams start to experiment with these double basic attackers. Kronos and the likes on the magical side, but mainly the hunters too, with Chernobog really seeing more play in the mid lane.
But Spacestation are covering their options despite having 2 double physical hunters. They're putting andinster with this heavy magical burst out Kuang. If it's not the Habwa, it's got to be the out Kuang.
Level 2s for most players already on the boards, and Baskin has gone for that Transcendence rush here. Going to box out against zGonnZ and Nann, who's forward. He jumps in place, the beads came through, his Andy was just there, and I don't think he saw andinster. He didn't know andinster was there. The illusions. The illusions,
He used his Thunder Crash offensively where zGonnZ was already gone. He did not want any part of that action whatsoever. A little bit of disconnect from Black Dragons.
And now the duo lane looking pretty comfortable for Space Station, with BaRRaCCuDDa having that red buff around his waist here. Means he's got that little bit of extra basic attack damage, not just for poke onto the enemies, but it helps in terms of wave clip.
Look at this, Aquarius with a red buff with that invade did not opt to give it to Baskin whatsoever. And BaRRaCCuDDa is very happy to receive his own red buff. Normally it does go to that mid-mage, and that allows the clear now to go in the way of the North Americans.
Biggest surprise for me this tournament is just the rise of Ratatoskr. He's pretty much been picked relatively every single game. I think Aquarius may be able to kill him though.
Even if you do, you're probably gonna get return killed from the tower.
Like, it's still worth.
You would need a dash and maybe 2 basic attacks. If it was a dash and 1 basic attack, sure.
In the end, it works out well, because Kliz now has to base as the blue buff spawns. zGonnZ and andinster going to say hello to each other. At the same time, Andy's focusing on the buff as zGonnZ trying to defend it. That does fall down as zGonnZ now under a bit of pressure from andinster still, but Andy
no beats.
Takes way more damage than bargained for.
Kliz could have looked for an opportunity to driving strike and then pull andinster a little bit closer, but not going to use that opportunity quite yet. Still securing his own blue buff is Kliz. Needs that mana regen to be able to look for consistent pull pushes. Hurting andinster in the process, but he's not too worried, honestly. With an assist right under his belt, andinster is feeling really solid, giving that first blood bounty towards his mid lane Chernobog.
Definitely interested to see where some of the builds go this game and what Nann ends up doing with the potential Book of Tough or the Soul Reaver available for him, working towards his boots as we speak. andinster in the jungle, however, has gone for the ring option, which we've seen more of as those rings have been buffed a couple of times, and there's a couple of more options available.
Movement speed is never a bad thing for a jungler, so might as well be rushing those rings every given moment. Spacestation Gaming looking to make plays in any single side lane. andinster looking for some executions once he gets right in position.
Much better start from Black Dragons, though, overall. Yes, they are down in gold and down a kill, but at this stage, they were down about 6 last time round with how it started. So that aggression from Black Dragons has slowed down a little bit and kept them in this game. But it's going to be all about these level 5s being reached now. These ultimates are coming online, and with that comes some global presence.
That's what's going to need to be used if zGonnZ is going to be able to swing the tides. This time it's Baskin diving the soul lane alongside Aquarius.
Kliz just trying to juke out as best he can, but he's in a lot of trouble. The boulder for good measure, but in comes zGonnZ looking at Baskin, and Baskin takes a lot of poke, jumps in the wall, but goes aggressive again. zGonnZ gets away as he is out of mana. Nann on the rotation. Nann could try to punish him if he can get in range.
I think Nann is about to find a kill. Needs a Thunder Crash in. He could have easily 1v2 there with his Taiko drums, but zGonnZ not really having enough mana to follow up, and andinster with an opportunistic mindset, stripping away zGonnZ's speed.
That's one of those things that if he does in a ranked game, his team will get upset about the not the rotation, but he's hanging around for a kill. And the beach used by zGonnZ. Turnaround could be fair play, but he still had the illusion to escape for now. Speed buff stolen. Black Dragons deficit increases.
Great play. 90-second cooldown for about 160. zGonnZ needs to be mindful for that 70 seconds or less remaining on his beads. It means that that's when the ultimate from andinster will come back up.
Yeah, and he's just going to play around that too for sure. And recognize that he can go aggressive towards Ratatoskr a little bit more so. But this is one of the states of the game. We saw this in game 1. Black Dragons tried to answer Spacestation's aggression to the solo lane, and in doing so, they don't find anything, and they also lose more jungle.
That's true. It's not looking pretty for the Brazilians, but they're not down as much as they were in the first game at this point in the game, where it's only 6 minutes in. Down about 1,500 gold, sure, but they got some mid-game potential. Kliz, though, on the retreat. Aquarius will not stop.
He's going to solo him. The boulder came through to prevent the knockback, but it wasn't even anything in the way of stopping the amount of damage that Aquarius had for himself there. Soloed on that right-hand side as now zGonnZ is trying to look for andinster and finds him.
Forcing the beads as well. There goes the flurry, but he's hidden. He's hiding behind the left side mids. zGonnZ
Sneaky.
Sniffing it out, though.
And in goes Baskin towards Nann, who's just trying to get as much damage off as he can. JeffHindla will claim his life as zGonnZ, still being chased by the living nightmare, is revealed because of the vision. JeffHindla can't do that alone, however. BaRRaCCuDDa and MarcelZ continue to farm up this left-hand side.
No justice in the world. andinster with about 10% mana, just having enough for his water illusion, and it lasted long enough that zGonnZ wasn't able to really sniff out andinster that was escaping right inside the mid lane. And good rotations from JeffHindla, being able to ping-pong from the dual lane straight into that right side mid Harpy encounter.
Stealth definitely one of the most powerful tools in the game. If anyone, Loki's obviously the best just because it doesn't break stealth with any sort of damage.
True.
CC obviously, but the other stealthers like Kuang, like Morrigan, both of them dot damage will make an impact.
That's why we could potentially see some more damage over
Crusher, maybe?
time. PIBE trying to make it happen onto Baskin, a little too out of position. I was getting at, yeah, Crusher would be good, but so would Mystical Mail.
Yep.
Potentially, we have seen a lot of Ratatoskers go for a defensive build, and zGonnZ could do the same. He definitely needs at least one penetration item, and then he can start building hybrid.
Black Dragons found their first kill then in the jungle on Baskin and strip away the red buff, so good signs of life from Black Dragons as they will get the oracles too. Just keep vision of that gold fury pit. Right hand side, there's a complete different story. Spacestation Gaming are trying to lock this down as hard as possible.
Beads are not available for andinster for the next minute or so, and that has to be in the mind of Black Dragons if they're looking for any sort of offensive play as andinster walks over that BD ward on the right side of the map, but zGonnZ is already too far on the left to make anything happen.
Yeah, you can see the cameraman there just showing that ward coverage, that nice big line right across the map. It's basically a shoot shall not pass line from Space Station, keeping full vision as PIBE gets thrown around in the air, but JeffHindla did not like the amount of damage he took. In comes zGonnZ looking to clean this up, but Jeff got his ultimate off in time, not enough to stop him from dying, however. Living Nightmare used by Baskin. I don't think he's going to go for this, though, if where he sees the position of everybody. Meanwhile, Spacestation Gaming will abuse the right-hand side.
That's what you got to do. andinster really abusing zGonnZ's rotation on the left side, granting his team another 500 gold. It's something that zGonnZ could have done in the last game with how much pressure andinster used on that solo lane, and he's making those adjustments now, making sure that BaRRaCCuDDa not going to have the easiest times of the world, nor will JeffHindla that's trying to rush this gauntlet of Thieves.
3v2, but the mid laners may join in this as well, as Spacestation Gaming look to engage on the speed buff, but with good numbers, Black Dragons do manage to defend that at the moment. Left-hand side, though, BaRRaCCuDDa is just getting a bit of an edge in terms of experience over MarcelZ, something you'd expect to see from a Jing way.
Considering her passive gives her so much mobility, also rushing for this Devil Gloves, not finishing off the boots quite yet, knowing that he has all that mobility, but plenty of gold in hand. Will use this timing to just finish off that mobility and maybe work on an execution.
Yeah, we just see MarcelZ head back to base 2, and now they're about even build. The only difference is 50 stacks separates those two hunters, as Aquarius is having a field day on the right-hand side. Kliz has been left on an island, something that you've seen happen before when things don't go so bad. But as Hercules, I guess it's just farm and hope for the best now.
Normally, Hercules don't have this much of a difficult time in the solo lane because of your ability to threaten the pull push under tower. But Aquarius doing a good job baiting that out and abusing Kliz every time that driving strike no longer available.
Gold Fury started up. This pressure from Spacestation in the mid lane is being dealt with as well. At the same time, Gold Fury goes down. Black Dragon steal it away. I believe that was PIBE. andinster just take down the rat meanwhile as Jeff trying to live, but he won't get away from the snipes from MarcelZ. The tier 1 tower still stands, but Dragons pick up that Gold Fury.
This is the best possible situation Black Dragons could have hoped for, only losing their tier 1 mid tower. Killing JeffHindla, snatching away the Gold Fury. It prevents Spacestation Gaming from running away with game number 2.
Bit disrespectful from Spacestation around that Gold Fury. No one on zone duty whatsoever.
Yeah.
And he just allowed Black Dragons to walk up. And if PIBE got that with the spit, which I think he did, just a hot, ghastly breath, I think that was enough to get the kill. And that should not be happening.
And Spacestation Gaming, they're not playing around their items. Gauntlet of Thieves for JeffHindla means that he should be sitting behind and farming the stacks before these team fights. And PIBE, with a Stone of Binding, looking for plays like this.
Good damage from PIBE there, and BaRRaCCuDDa forced to beat the slow, avoided the stun, but under the tower he goes. PIBE didn't have his ultimate available, otherwise that could have caused a lot more problems for BaRRaCCuDDa, but with all that attention paid to him, on the other side of the map, Spacestation Gaming find themselves an objective.
Great sidestep from BaRRaCCuDDa's Jing wave, narrowly avoiding that paralyzing spit. Kliz trying to defend his own blue buff, uses the driving strike, and it's plays like this that's making him suffer.
But he's got support this time round, and zGonnZ's knockup allows Nann to come in to pick up the kill on Aquarius, shutting down that solo lane for a moment. Plus, he did get his blue buff.
He did. A great opportunity for Black Dragons to get on the board here. 4-5, read the kill, still favoring Spacestation Gaming with a little bit of a goal lead. Experience is starting to get a little slippery, though, heading towards that 6,000 marker.
Little sloppy from Spacestation Gaming, that's what I would like to say. It's not doom and gloom, though, for them. Like we said, they still have a bit of a lead as BaRRaCCuDDa now trying to poke out MarcelZ just a little bit, slow down those stacks on the Devourer's gauntlets and whittle away the tower just a hair more.
He's just daring anyone to make a rotation on this left side of the map. Some offensive vision above the Gold Fury and above the left side mid Heartbeat. I don't think it's deep enough to really spot out zGonnZ if he was to ever go through the Cosmos.
Both the supporters have headed back to the Chulainn at the same time, but andinster's on his way over here too with this Kuang. He will do the purple buff, but there is support here when required, and he may need it now. As PIBE wraps around the back.
Oh,
no beast for BaRRa, no Aegis for BaRRa, no life for BaRRa.
Spoke too soon a little bit. BaRRaCCuDDa's running away with his life. andinster, though, he's in a little bit of trouble, but he is very stealthy.
Baskin just jumps in and annihilated MarcelZ. He's swinging away on zGonnZ too for the double, but a big driving strike shuts that down. Baskin, though, jumps in the wall, holds as long as possible, but a good ult from Nann. And Baskin is one hit, and he baseball swings him into next week.
That pull from Kliz, making this 1-for-1 so impactful. BaRRaCCuDDa counting his lucky stars as he ran away with that one. Training your hunter for a mid considering that it's Baskin playing the Chernobog, so it's basically 100 for 100.
Credit where he shoots at Kliz though, upgrading his teleport and then rotating straight into that fight to make a difference. Aquarius though will punish the rotation with the speed buff, but now he's out of position on his own. Andinster is on the way to support, but can he get a kill on his own?
Yes, he can, absolutely. He's venting his anger. He's driving right in, and now he has Andinster by his side.
But Andinster has no ultimate available as they look towards PIBE. Aquarius gets aggro, giving Andinster a window to get in with those basic attacks, and the illusion detonation will be enough to bring down the pooch this time round. 9-5, 5k gold lead.
There's 2 abilities, maybe 3, that look awesome when you make it happen without a care in the world. It's the Neath backflip kill, it's the Kuang water illusion kill, and it's also the Vulcan ultimate where you don't even look.
Oh, you reckon the Vulcan? I like the Path of Flames Agony where you just dash away and just don't even turn around.
That's true.
You just know they're dead.
That's true. That's a good one as well.
Kliz though, level 12 now, so has his second relic and he's gone with the Thorns option this time round. Still 3 levels down on Aquarius in the solo lane. And in the jungle, 4 level disparity. That's where most of this experience difference is.
All those blue buff invades are starting to add up, and a lot of shared experience. Andinster and Aquarius truly abusing Kliz and zGonnZ on the right side of the map, and there was a little bit of pressure out of zGonnZ on the left side, but it wasn't enough to create any sort of real disparity because Spacestation Gaming still have an experience lead on that side of the map included.
Second goal view of the game could be started relatively soon as it will respawn in 15 seconds time. But now JeffHindla comes to this right-hand side, shoring up the wards for his team, removing some of this vision, and allowing windows of opportunity to present themselves. Kliz has a ward down here, and as Jeff just dropped that down, I thought for a second he might be going for a cheeky attempt.
It would be too early, I think, to call for that late game Fire Giant objective. Goal Fury respawn. This time is Black Dragons forcing it.
But BaRRaCCuDDa's recognized this, and the question is, what do Black Dragons do? They'll reset it, but BaRRaCCuDDa holds it. Jeff round the back. Look for the root, but PIBE jumps away. Goal Fury reset for a second, but the burst is here from Spacestation. And I don't think Black Dragons can stop it.
No, not this time around, and PIBE is going to get taken out as well. Up in the sky goes MarcelZ, looking for Andinster, forcing the airstrike. Will be zGonnZ, trying to get literally anything that he can, but he dashes the opposite direction of JeffHindla.
PIBE's dead, MarcelZ is dead, Goal Fury's dead, Spacestation are alive. This is getting awkward again as Black Dragons are just trying to find an answer to anything.
Finding the strike onto Kliz, but the heal a little bit too powerful to take out Kliz at the moment. Baskin forced to use that Aegis, needs about 1 more shot. Kliz not able to find that one.
Showers to BaRRaCCuDDa with the help, but I believe that was a big old crit that swung into the back of Nann's head as he was trying to use that Thunder Crash. Aquarius will salmon lead to the kill on the left-hand side onto zGonnZ, as meanwhile Andinster will take this tier 2 tower down. And the gold lead continues to grow.
I think that was an unofficial deicide with PIBE reviving after the fact. Tier 2 on the left side, very low on its last legs. JeffHindla tanking this Pyromancer now. Hold that thought though, because Spacestation Gaming, they're shifting their attention to the Fire Giants.
And why not? Because I don't think Kliz can get up and teleport here in time, even if there is a ward in this area. Fire Giant falls 17 minutes into this game. Spacestation Gaming are trying to book themselves an appointment with EU United tomorrow.
I like how JeffHindla tried to dash away from the knockup while he's playing Terra. When you use your walls, you're not going to be able to be knockup immune anyway. And he was healthy enough that his health pool didn't matter. But either way, a cute little encounter there for those unfamiliar with it.
These two teams have gone against each other a couple of times now, and Spacestation Gaming have had the rub of the green so far. Black Dragons, composition-wise, totally every time, I think their picks and ban strategies seem to be pretty solid. I think the biggest issue they've had is just making sure they make the right calls at the right times.
And it's hard to really make those kind of calls when you gotta worry about Baskin in the mid lane, whether he's playing any mid-mage,
whatever he's playing,
or the Hunter. Like, he's making the plays somehow, some way, and Andinster has been feeling himself, at least in this set.
Well, you got to see Andinster do something really cool against MarcelZ then. Stand underneath a Rama, and it makes it very difficult to hit him correctly. The closer to the ground, you can see the circle on the ground, use it. Run around in circles if you want to. It makes it a lot tricky for the Rama to find those shots. And in the end, it comes to naught. The tier 2 tower on the left-hand side will fall to these minions alone if they're left alone. Kliz is on the right-hand side trying to do a bit of split pushing, but Baskin's shown up now.
No.
And Baskin is going to have a bit of a field day with Kliz here. The sustain's already down as Andy picks up Nann at the same time.
Nann, just between a rock and a hard place, had nowhere to go. He was backing behind his own tier 2 tower. A great recognition from Spacestation Gaming, getting the tier 2 tower, now pushing forward to the Phoenix. In goes Aquarius, but backing off. They need the objective.
Nobody's here to defend from Black Dragons, really, though. One by one, they go in to try and defend and get poked back out. MarcelZ basics there, did a lot of work to BaRRaCCuDDa, but not enough for a kill. The middle Phoenix falls as Aquarius takes on the whole army. Kliz, though, on this right-hand side. He could be under some pressure here.
Very well could be. Uses that excavate, trying to give himself CC immunity, but it doesn't matter. Too much burst damage. Aquarius receiving the brunt of the damage as Nann gets his second kill.
Yeah, Nann just respawned and BaRRaCCuDDa trying to work on his KDA. Instead, he might just find a quick trip back to the fountain and he'll giggle his way there on the screen as he realizes he overstayed his welcome.
Spacestation Gaming having a little bit of fun now in game number 2 after winning game 1 very commandingly. It took about 29 to 30 minutes to find the first game victory. This time, getting the first Phoenix 19 minutes in. That's a very fast pace to close out a game.
Andy looks very confident at the moment. As in, like, he looks like he's perked up on the camera. It's not normally something you see out of andinster. All happy. He's normally very glum, very focused, but his head's twitching away, ready to focus as much as possible at the speed that you have to play it out, Kuang.
You got to be having fun with it when you have this kind of a lead. 14,000 with a middle Phoenix down as well. It's a tall hill if your name is Black Dragon. Spacestation Gaming feeling very good about this one.
Did get to speak to Spacestation Gaming before this set, but hold out for a second. Baskin uses the ultimate to collapse onto zGonnZ. And zGonnZ, as his namesake suggests, is no longer here for a moment. Minions coming in. Tier 2 tower under threat.
I love what Baskin did there. He threw out the crystallized heart, but he didn't explode it right away, recognizing that it wasn't going to connect on the root. So he dashes to cut the distance, actually goes behind zGonnZ, and then it forces zGonnZ to go back to the tier 2 tower where the crystallized heart was waiting for him.
I mean, look at Baskin's confidence as well. No sustain in this build whatsoever. Now working towards him on his final item. More than likely, we'll see the Blood Forge, which we see most of the time. It's going to be a last item here. But right-hand side, MarcelZ and PIBE trying to push out, and Andy's having none of that. You will stay in the base, my friend.
Ouch.
And if you leave the base, I will make sure you go back there, whether you like it or not.
PIBE caught between a rock and a hard place for himself. Both of the dual lane members take a tumble into the grave as Jeff will take this left side Phoenix for the moment. Spacestation Gaming, though, need to respect Kliz.
But it's hard to pick up BaRRaCCuDDa when JeffHindla's around.
Never mind.
And, of course, Aquarius, too. Now I'm going to try and lead him on a merry goose chase with those beads. But he's not going to be able to stop Aquarius, just venting over and over again in his general direction.
Baskin looking to end the game while Aquarius is chasing down Nann. Titan, less than half health. Spacestation Gaming, they go on to advance and face eUnited.
They do indeed. Disappointing, though, from Black Dragons in game 2. They won't be happy with it, but he's back to the drawing board again. And hope when the World Championships come round, they found some mojo.
A quick victory in game 2, using that momentum to its fullest. Absolutely having fun with this. Spacestation Gaming can now start doing their homework against their North American scrim partners.
And that's the main thing now. It's eUnited versus Spacestation Gaming and Energy versus Rival, which will be the well, what we know so far anyway.
Yeah.
Loser of the Energy versus Rival game today will face either eUnited or that team of Spacestation that just found the victory over Black Dragons. Congratulations, though, to the Black Dragons. As always, they always try and work hard, and they've been around the scene a long time, so a lot of respect between the teams overall, because a lot of them recognize how often these Brazilians have been here trying to put on a show from their region.
Well, whoever loses this next set and then whoever wins the North American one will at least have a loser bracket cross-meta battle.
Yeah.
Whether it's eUnited versus Energy versus Rival, whether it's Spacestation Gaming versus that. I always like to see the Europeans go out and get North American.
And I think that's the main thing that everyone likes to see at LAN is the international crossplay rather than region versus region. But sometimes those regions just, outdo each other a little bit. So sometimes Europe comes out on top, North America too. At the moment, though, it has been EU quite a bit this year.
That's very true. And with a dominating Game 2 performance, it's difficult for me to pinpoint who exactly out of Spacestation Gaming had that MVP performance because they all looked so dominant.
Yeah, that is actually tough. I'm like, who could I give it to? Maybe Aquarius in the colony looked pretty dominant, roaming around the map. He took on 4 in the Fountain Room. I guess the Titan too.
But andinster had a remarkable out Kuang, being able to invade the speed buff, being able to assist that solo lane dive from time to time. I think that his out Kuang is to be respected. I'm not sure if that's something that he picks on the norm, but it definitely worked out in that game when you have 2 physical hunters.
Well, 2 sets down today, but still a huge one to come. Black Dragons do not find their victory. Spacestation Gaming 2. And to break that down, we have John Finch and Taco standing by.
Thanks, Hindu. Thank you, Toli. And unfortunately, if you're a Black Dragons fan, that is going to do it for them. Spacestation Gaming came out looking very strong there in that set, Taco. What was your big takeaway from that one? I mean, who's your breakout performer?
They just gave them the Klizness pretty much. Turned it right around and used their own medicine against them. And Black Dragons, for everything that they had going in this game at the start, it kept crumbling piece by piece. There were just way too much success at the start for Spacestation, especially for andinster. Got off to such a hot beginning that it felt so incredibly impossible trying to actually shut down this out Kuang, especially once he started building those executes into the passive, that magical lifesteal, only making the differences between himself and zGonnZ all the more difficult to close. Yeah, I love that he picks this out Kuang pick going into the closeout match for this set to try and move on towards those losers finals. I mean, it's a tough pick to be able to kind of put a lot on the line for, and he's able to grab it there in the end, able to have a great performance on that out Kuang pick. So I love it from andinster, but really the whole team kind of came together here in the unit. Spacestation closing out the set that they're expected to do, and they do it very cleanly, and now they can move on confidently to this match where they're going to be going up against United. And we're sitting here gassing up andinster the whole time period, but from what I just heard, Finch, it's actually going to be Aquarius who ended up stealing away that MVP vote, just having an incredibly dominant performance on this Chulainn, not letting Kliz breathe for even a moment in that solo lane. Yeah, and there's no problem with this at all, with giving this MVP over to Aquarius, not just playing it in this game, but just overall, he's really just turned it on. I mean, there was some talk way back at the beginning of Season 5, like, this is 3 great players, we just need Aquarius and Jeff to do their job. But, I mean, it's over. I don't even like rehashing that story. This one, Aquarius is very clearly one of, if not their main win condition at this point. Just play through this kid over in the solo lane because he's just beating people. I think that's the main reason why Andy has been focusing the solo lane so heavily. These two have been on fire. They really have working alongside of each other. And I think from spring to now, there has been very drastic improvements made between this team, at least in terms of their jungle and solo lane synergy. And if they can keep this momentum going, United might have to start worrying. But Benji and Aquarius, they're going to get to clash head-to-head yet again, as if they haven't had enough practice against the other already. Well, we've once heard the man say, I knew I was teaching him how to lane in one of our post-game interviews, with a line that we got to hear from. So there's clearly confidence in Aquarius. Just get him into a position where he can put that confidence into action. That's been the idea here at this tournament, right? andinster's been spending a little bit more time in solo, trying to make sure they can comfortably get ahead, and trying to create some space on the other side for BaRRa as well, to sort of freely just get his farm and be able to start rotating over. Hey, actions speak louder than words for sure, and if there's one thing that Aquarius is not, it is all talk, because he's got the walk to back it up. He has been all over the place this LAN. It's not the first time he's won MVP vote, and if he continues to have these kind of game-winning performances, I doubt it'll be the last. And they're going to be now moving a little bit further forward in the losers bracket to go up against United. But before that, we actually have an interview with the boys standing by. We'll go ahead and throw it over there to them and get their thoughts.
Gaming, congratulations on your win over Black Dragons. Joining me is going to be andinster and Aquarius. I got to ask you guys, at the end of game number 2, we were looking at the player cams. You guys were giggling a little bit there. What was going on in the comms?
BaRRa got me killed at their Titan room by coming over and spreading Raijin 2. So I was raging at that. But, I don't know. It was a good game. We had a lot of fun. And, I don't know. Comms were good.
I guess in a good way, like, you guys are in good spirits after how things have gone so far. Obviously, moving on against Black Dragons, but now you guys get to face off against United. Jeff and BaRRa earlier on saying, you know, it depends on the day who plays the best out of you two teams. How do you two feel? Do you think you've got an edge against United?
Originally, before this LAN, I thought they would have the edge over us. In scrims, they did pretty well. But, I don't know, when I saw them perform against Rival, like, I didn't think they were too great, or not what I expected. So I think we have a pretty good chance.
Being scrim partners with United, it's got to be a huge mind game battle. Like, what is the primary focus in this next set for you guys?
It's definitely playing super clean, because like different pocket picks or things like that, like they've dealt with it all the time. You know, like I played Thanatos. Benji's dealt with that tons of times. He dealt with it today. Like he just knew what to do against the Thanatos. Like you saw, he got like super ahead. So it's just gonna be playing super clean and making sure like we're on top of our game, because that's usually who wins in scrims, whoever plays the cleanest.
Obviously, a LAN meta always develops whenever we're here, and we're about halfway through the LAN to speak so far. Has anything really surprised you two individually at all about what happened here? Was there any surprises that you weren't aware of and now, you know, you're ready for?
It seems like everyone's just playing their own game. Like, most of the time as the LAN goes on, people start to adopt other people's strategies, but that really hasn't happened so far in this LAN, so I don't know. I mean, I guess that's the surprising thing. Like, everyone's just still playing their own game.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. Good luck tomorrow against the United, and we'll see you later on.
Thank you.
Laying down my cards on the table, sending out a message in a bottle. Came in through the door like a hurricane, and I hope you won't get fickle, 'cause you swept me up mine. I'm losing my cool when I'm here right next to you. I'm losing my cool. Yeah, I'm losing my cool when I'm under your control. I'm losing my cool. Yeah. Keeping the shades on though there's dark clouds. If you look in my eyes, you would see it all. And I gotta keep my head above the surface. Oh yeah. But your waves pulls me in, and I can't hold it back again. I'm losing my cool when I'm here right next to you. I'm losing my cool. Yeah, I'm losing my cool when I'm under your control. I'm losing my cool. Yeah, I'm losing my cool.